Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Welcome to your middle of the day market updates. I'm happy to see you all back, and welcome to this. Well, I already said that. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We'll talk about the fundamentals, and then we will talk about some altcoins as well. I think there's some interesting altcoins we can talk about, so there's some value in that as well. But obviously, most important right now. Since, as you can see, most altcoins are correlated to Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance is slightly weak, all right? You can see some coins are actually outperforming Bitcoin here, which is always great to see. Hopefully that continues. And there's also in here some coins that I wanted to talk about. But overall, everything is still very correlated to Bitcoin. The US market opened about 30 minutes ago. That was very, very volatile, as you can see. Bitcoin dropped down. But I think we're fine. What you can see right now is that, well, I mean, the stock market, what it has done, it has fully closed the S&P 500 gap. And now it looks pretty strong, all right? Look, in the end, and that's still most important, in the end, Bitcoin is still relatively strong. Well, there's basically two things that are most important. Bitcoin is still relatively strong. I mean, we can still see a Coinbase Bitcoin premium, even though it went into a discount right here with the US opening, but I expect it to get back into a premium. So that shows that there still is relative Bitcoin strength. And you can also see, I mean, if we remove this trend line, I mean, Bitcoin, for me, the line in the sand to actually still be in an uptrend here is 85,500. That's where we have the 30-day VWAP as well, volume weighted average price. If we drop down below that, if we do not get a strong reaction from that, I might get some doubts about Bitcoin. But for now, technically, as long as we're still holding that, that's fine. Fundamentally, we still have a Coinbase Bitcoin premium. That shows that there's strength in Bitcoin right now. So that's also still fine. And then, look, we are very correlated to the stock markets, to the US equities markets. That's true. So far, technically, we have found strong support right here at 565. And then the question is, all right now with the trade war headlines, will we still have some negative updates about that? Because that is still, regardless of how Bitcoin looks technically, regardless of the Coinbase Bitcoin price, that is still the main driver. All right, if we get some bearish news regarding the tariffs, well, if the trade war escalates, then the S&P 500 will drop down, and that's going to pull Bitcoin down together with it as well. All right, so in short, that is the main thing you need to know about. All right, that's the one thing. Excuse the clock on the background. That's the one thing that will make the markets move. So just be aware of that, all right? At this point of time, the situation still looks fine. Like I said, Bitcoin also found strong support here. We still have a bit of buffer of support right here, all the way down to 85,500. The stock market looks fine, but like I said, with news, things can change. So as long as you're aware of that, you're going to be fine. But for now, like I said, as long as the situation stays like it is right now, I'd say it's most likely that we will be able to hold this support, and that eventually we will also be able to rally up to our main target between 90 and 92,000. All right, so that is what I would expect in terms of Bitcoin. And now a brief interruption. Guys, because I wanted to talk to you about Mantle. As you can see right here, I got a chance to actually explore what Mantle was building. So I'm a huge fan of Mantle, have used it a lot in the past as well for airdrop farming, but just in general using their network. So briefly wanted to talk to you about that. Recently, Mantle has had some amazing news, and because World Liberty Finance, the Trump affiliated project, has bought about $5 million of Mantle, making Mantle one of the biggest altcoin holdings they have, outside of Tron and White. But definitely doing great. I mean, Mantle is a layer 2 network. As you can see, they have growing daily active addresses and daily transaction numbers. So they are actually growing. And like I said, it's actually a great layer 2 network to use. But outside of them being incorporated in the World Liberty Finance portfolio, what's also true is that, first of all, if we look at the price, which I know a lot of you are interested in that, we're forming some sort of a bullish reversal right here, which was definitely helped by the news, but there is actually some serious volume coming in as well. And when we talk about Mantle specifically, they have a treasury of about $3 billion, which is obviously great for ecosystem growth, but also runway. So that's already great. And they have some amazing things on their roadmap, which will be released in 2025, such as the Enhanced Index Fund. All right, so definitely a project worth to watch, both in terms of price, but also in terms of fundamentals. So I'll leave the link to their X down in the description and the website as well. Make sure to follow them there. And now let's get on with the video. All right, now let's get back into the video. So let's talk about altcoins real brief. Wanted to take a quick look at XRP. XRP at this point of time is struggling. It's continuing to hold the bearish breakdown right here. And in general, look, I still think if Bitcoin is able to hold its support and if Bitcoin is able to actually continue some strength here, I still think XRP is going to be able to reclaim back into that POC range right here. But at the moment, I would definitely not buy it, expecting it. It's just technically very weak right here. We're losing momentum. There's not any volume coming into the price, bringing the price back up, getting some sort of recovery. So XRP unfortunately looks quite weak, which I'll keep you updated on that front, of course, but that's not great. Talk about some more interesting altcoins. One altcoin that I think is very interesting in general, even though it's not there yet, is BNB. BNB this morning was quite strong, is in a clear consolidation range right here. There's fundamental strength behind Binance, behind BNB. If we're able to break this range, I think this is one of the best opportunities. Not in terms of that it can 2x, because that's obviously with BNB, that's going to be very difficult. But it does, in terms of risk reward, looks quite good. Maker, we talked about that yesterday with the stablecoin narrative, also still technically looks great and it looks like we're moving up. Sui has been incredibly strong over the course of today, as expected. Did a video on that this morning, but that doesn't really seem like a great opportunity to buy right now, to be completely fair, because we are at resistance. And then lastly, I do think Solana is actually at an interesting point here. Basically the risk reward just makes a lot of sense, all right? Because we have this support right here between 132 and 136. Let's say you buy at 135, then the potential reward is like 8%, 9%, maybe even 10%, who knows? Well, maybe even much higher, but at least a 8.5% move. And then the risk is basically you just close if we drop down below the value area high. So the risk is about 3%. That's great risk reward. Personally, I haven't set orders yet, but that's definitely one of the bigger altcoins, actually tradable altcoins in terms of volume and liquidity to watch. And that's my update for now, I think. Bitcoin is pushing down a bit here, which is, I think, in line with what the stock market is doing here. Also finding some resistance. But like I said, ultimately, as long as Bitcoin is able to hold 85,500, we're fine. And the only reason why we would not be able to do that is if the stock market continues to drop down. And that, at this point of time, is not most likely. It will become more likely if we get some bearish news regarding the trade war. Those are my thoughts. We had some economic data. Doesn't really matter that much. That's what I think you need to know for now. So don't forget to check out Mantle. Thank you for watching. Take care and bye.